At an Irish pub in Paderborn, Germany, was 21-year-old nursing student Frauke Liebs and her friends, who were watching the FIFA World Cup match. Frauke was texting her other friends from her phone that evening, but then her battery stopped working, so one of her friends in the pub let her use theirs. She used his battery in her phone, finished texting her other friends, returned her friend's battery. She left the pub that night at 11 p.m. to begin the 1-mile walk back to her apartment that she shared with her roommate Chris, but instead of arriving home, her roommate received a text from her at 12:49 a.m. saying, "Coming later, the game was fun, not against England. Love you lots, see you later." The next day, her friends and family never saw her and she failed to turn up to work, so her mom called the police to report her missing. They worked to trace where the text to her roommate had been sent from, and it had come from an area 23 miles away. In the days following her disappearance, numerous calls and texts were received by her friends and family, with Frauke constantly claiming she was coming home soon. Her roommate Chris got a call from Frauke at 10:25 p.m. on the 22nd of June, where she told him, "Hello Christos, I wanted to say that I'm fine and that I'll be home soon, say to mum and dad and the others." Chris later told people how this phone call was a clue that something wasn't right, as she always called him Chris. She only called him Christos when she was angry at him. The following night, her roommate received a text from her phone saying, "I'm coming home today, I'm in Paderborn." 2 minutes later, Frauke's brother called her phone and she answered. Her brother asked her, "Frauke, what are you doing? When are you coming home?" Frauke then said, "I am coming home today, not too late, I'm in Paderborn, do not ask, I'm coming home." Her brother then asked, "Where are you then?" And she replied saying, "I cannot say that." The next day, Frauke phoned Chris and told him, "I'm not coming back too late, I'm coming home tonight." Chris then asked her if she is hurt, to which she replied, "No, I'm in Paderborn, I'm in Paderborn, I'm in Paderborn." On the 25th of June, Frauke and Chris spoke on the phone. She told him, "I am coming home today," and he asked her if she was in danger, to which she replied no. He then asked her why she didn't come home yesterday. She said, "I can explain that to you." Chris asked her, "Where are you?" and she said, "I'll explain when I get home." Then their call ended. Her final phone call came on the 27th of June 2006. Chris was sitting with Frauke's sister, Karen, when he got a call from Frauke. In their last phone call, Chris asked her, "Where are you?" Frauke told him, "I can't tell you." He told her to come home, but Frauke replied, "No, I can't." He asked why not, and she told him, "I can't tell you." He then asked her, "Are you being held captive?" Frauke paused, then whispered yes, followed by a louder, "No, no." "Chris, are you afraid?" Frauke, "No." "Chris, who's with you?" Frauke, "I can't tell you." Chris told her, "You know that the police are looking for you?" She said, "Yes, I know." He then asked her, "But why have you been gone?" She then said, "You know that, Chris." Chris, "No, did you meet another guy?" Frauke, "You know that I wouldn't stay a week with a random guy." Chris told her, "Karen is here with me. We are all worried about you." Frauke asked him if her parents are there, and he told her they were there earlier. Frauke said, "Tell them I love them a lot." Chris, "Why didn't you come even though you said you would come home today?" Frauke, "I'll explain later." Chris, "Should I come pick you up?" Frauke, "No, that's not possible." Chris, "Can we meet somewhere?" Frauke, "No, that's not possible." Chris then asked her, "Where are you, Mum?" Frauke exclaimed, "Where are you, Mum? Where are you, Mum?" And for the third time, "Where are you?" To which Frauke said, "Mum," again. Chris, "Get in touch at least once a day." Frauke, "I did that the other days." Chris, "I was really sad you didn't get in touch yesterday." Frauke, "Yes, I know you've been very sad. Please give Karen the phone." Her sister, Karen, then took the phone and began speaking to Frauke. Frauke, "Don't ask too many questions." Karen, "Are you afraid to come home?" Frauke, "No." Karen, "We'll leave the flat, nobody will ask what happened. Come back." Frauke, "That's not possible, I'm still alive." Karen, "Are you with one or more persons?" Frauke, "Please don't ask. I would like to be there with you. I would like to be home." Chris then grabbed the phone and told Frauke, "Get in touch at least once a day." For the last time, Frauke said, "Yes, I will. Talk to you soon." The call then ended. During their phone calls, her mum, Chris, Karen and others all said Frauke sounded like she had been drugged, and in their final phone call together, her sister Karen said Frauke sounded drugged and was crying on the phone. Most of the calls were traced to industrial estates in Paderborn, but investigators refused to take her case further, saying that she must be safe if she was able to call her friends and family. After her call to Chris and Karen on the 27th of June 2006, there was never any contact from Frauke again. Months ended up passing with no news about where Frauke was, until 4 months later. A hunter was walking through a forest located in Lichtenau, 10 miles away from Paderborn. It was the 6th of October, and as the hunter walked, he found human remains which were soon identified as Frauke. Her remains were still in the same clothes she had been wearing at the pub the night of her disappearance. The date and cause of death could not be determined due to her remains being in an advanced state of decomposition. All detectives did know was she had been killed somewhere else, before her body was placed in the forest. No DNA evidence was found and her phone has never been located. Although detectives managed to question around 900 people regarding her disappearance, they only ever had 5 suspects who were eventually cleared due to having airtight alibis. A possible connection was being looked into by investigators between Frauke Liebs' case and a case that happened a 20-minute drive from away from Paderborn. A divorced couple were arrested in May 2016 after a woman died after being taken to hospital by them. Wilfried Wagener, 46, and his ex-wife Angelika Wagener, aged 47, were arrested on suspicion of manslaughter. When a woman was taken to hospital by them died 2 hours later and doctors saw every part of her body was covered in bruises and assault marks. She was 41-year-old Suzanne. Suzanne had gone to their house in 2016 after replying to Wilfried's advertisement in a newspaper looking for a girlfriend. When she met Wilfried, he was living with Angelika, his ex-wife. They told Suzanne that they were brother and sister, which she believed. She then moved into their house and straight away began severely abusing her, constantly attacking her, and forced her into domestic slavery. She was seen with Wilfried and Angelika outside completely bald, after having all her hair ripped out. Their abuse took its toll on Suzanne and eventually she was close to death. They put her in their car with the plan to drive her back to her own house and leave her there to die, but on the way their car broke down, so they called an ambulance which took her to hospital covered in bruises. She died 2 hours later from blunt force trauma to the head, and police arrested Wilfried and Angelika. During their investigations and Angelika's admission, detectives found that they had put adverts which said, "Farmer is looking for a wife. I am kind, nice and gentle," in every newspaper across Germany looking for single women for a relationship, with the intent of either stealing their life savings or forcing them into domestic slavery. They then found that Suzanne wasn't their first or only victim. In 2013, 33-year-old Annika answered their singles ad in the newspaper, and married Wilfried, believing Angelika was his sister. After marrying him, she moved into their house. Over the next 2 months, she was tortured and forced into slavery, which resulted in her death. Angelika then told detectives they had stored her body in the freezer before removing it and burning it. After her death, Wilfried texted her mum using her phone to say she was in good health and moved to another country. Hearing now that they were responsible for at least 2 murders, police began to investigate whether they have any connection to other unsolved cases. Their story receiving national coverage, women began coming forward, saying they had been victims of theirs. One 51-year-old woman said she had been held at their house from August 2011 to March 2012 and was abused and tortured by them. Before releasing the woman, they drove her to a police station and said she had to write a statement saying she had chosen to live with them voluntarily, but the police officer told them all to leave and refused to take such a statement and didn't investigate any further, and they ended up letting her leave. Another woman had answered to their ad and they had handcuffed her and left her in a pigsty on their farm. Searching their house, investigators found a list of 7 names of victims. Currently only 4 of those victims have been identified, and due to this, detectives have expanded their search into unsolved cases connected to the couple to between 1998 and 2016. Receiving their sentences, Angelika smiled and hugged her lawyer when she was handed 13 years in prison. Wilfried was handed 11 years in a psychiatric ward. 30 investigators are now looking into whether they have any connection to the currently unsolved murder of Frauke Liebs.